Hey guys, this is Sharad with REsimpli, bringing you another case study call with a longtime REsimpli user, James Gotimer. James, welcome to the call. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thank you so much for agreeing to do this call, man. If you can tell us a little bit about yourself, where do you live, what market do you invest in, and what kind of investing do you do?
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm more of a newer wholesaler trying to get into the, junior level and senior level. Originally from Long Island, New York, came out to Arizona into a thriving real estate market where wholesale was getting a lot of mainstream, YouTube videos attention. Found all the people who kind of got started into it, looking up to those big time players like Jerry Norton, one of your friends, Ryan Dosey as well too. And then working with that. So that's our biggest market right now is Phoenix.
Okay.
Dabbling in also a couple other virtual Sunbelt state markets as well, just seeing what kind of market trends are going. We do a lot of originally agent outreach while still trying to build our team together and be able to can deploy more of that marketing spend once we have the team to handle a lot more of the lead flow.
Got it. So do you live in Arizona or live in New York
I
and
do.
Arizona is your... Okay, so you
A little
moved
bit
to
of a
Arizona.
yeah, a little bit of a snowbird, but
Okay,
mainly live in Arizona as well.
nice. That's a great option to have, man. Yeah, I went to school in New York. I lived there for 5 years, so I miss the city, but I'm happy that I don't live there full time.
Oh wow, where did you go to school in New York?
Baruch College, City
Baruch. Okay,
University.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so
I had a couple
yeah,
of my friends who went there, so
I loved it when I was there. How long have you been investing for, James?
probably about seriously about a year and a half. Kind of other than that, I was doing more part time, just
Got it.
continuing my studies in school and trying to
Okay.
dabble in other part time jobs as well.
Okay. So you went full time about a year and a half ago. So like beginning of 2023.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
Got it. Okay. What's your current team size right now?
We had some bad restructuring, so right now we have one acquisitions with me, myself, who's a partner, and then we have about two lead managers, and then we also did a lead manager with Call Porter. So
Okay.
had some great service with them, still using them to kind of call our leads, and just try to find out how to kind of get more people to build our team slowly over time, and just because I know you can have some bad hiring, and we kind of learned the hard way that way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think bad hiring is one thing that puts you back by like 2, 3 months or longer, depending on what position you're hiring for. So
Right.
totally understand that. It's so true when they say, hire slow, fire fast. And you don't
Mhm.
realize how true that is until you make, one or two bad hires. I've had more than my fair share of bad hires.
Right. Yeah.
And do you mind sharing how many deals are you doing per month or per year?
Yeah, this year, it's kind of been a struggle to trying to find where are we looking. Early on, it was a lot of agent outreach, and that kind of has shifted in some of the markets we're in, which is tougher to kind of get those deals to work. And a lot of sellers just, are getting beat. So right now we're doing around 1 to 3 deals a month, or under contracts, and then just depending on how much we can move, just because it's a little bit harder to with just the margins of paying the agents commissions, and just dealing with all the fees associated with selling on market.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the market is starting to get a little competitive. I was talking to another investor that does like a couple of dozen deals, and he was saying it's starting to get a little bit more competitive now. And besides agent outreach, is there any other marketing channel that you're using in your business right now?
Yes, our biggest is paper leads, as you guys are
Okay.
preaching, just to kind of build a team and try to test acquisition guys out, as opposed to maybe dealing with a lead that's just a cold call lead that needs more nurturing. So
Right.
we use a couple different services. Need to sell my house fast is our favorite, just due to the bidding system, and then I speed to lead, just some of those marketplace leads as well as property leads. We buy in about 10 to 15 from each of those sources,
Okay.
just depending totally. And then, trying to sometimes get a little bit more with the bidding system on need to sell my house fast.
Absolutely. I think a great thing with those is those generally tend to be more motivated leads versus leads that you're generating from cold calling or texting, even to some extent from direct mail, that can
Mhm.
take a little bit longer to nurture those leads. So yeah, you're going about it the right way. How long have you been using REsimpli for?
Oof. I would probably say 3 years now. Maybe that's
Three
probably
years.
more 2.5. But
Okay.
before then, just dabbled in bad software systems using Podio that we would try to build ourselves and then paying a bunch of money to have something that just wasn't effective. That's what everyone says, just coming from Podio system into REsimpli, but I saw it firsthand where it's meant for wholesale real estate and you could definitely use it for fix and flip in other areas, but it's just the convenience it is and the layout is just so smooth compared to any other software that we've used.
Yeah, I would say in the beginning, majority of the investors that switched over came from Podio. Now it's mix of all different software, Podio, Salesforce, and other
Mhm.
systems. And that's the number one thing we hear, that they have to like do a band-aid of, all these different software. One thing breaks in one software, then it just like breaks their whole business. And they love
Mhm.
the fact that everything is built in one software. So with the Podio, before you switched over, what were some of the specific challenges you were facing with Podio before you decided to make the switch to REsimpli?
I think it was an issue was the active dashboard, not
Okay.
having kind of knowing what messages came in first, kind of having multiple buttons to get into the active leads page. A lot of I'm not very, back in the day, just setting up the API to even get into Podio was even just difficult. Trying to look at how other people had their business set up and trying to take some from there and try to add it to ours. And it was just, it could be a giant mess when you try to do it that way, as opposed to out of the box ready, formats made, systems already kind of in place, and just kind of especially templates to already use, so
Absolutely.
definitely the dashboard. And then just also, the scrolling features of everything, I felt like we had a bunch of the data we wanted on there was we'd have to keep scrolling for it or, scroll down all the way to send a message. REsimpli's layout is very organized on each side. The data's on one side, notes on one side, and then the calling's kind of at the top of the page. So it's just so much smoother. And even clicking those buttons saves us a minute of just kind of scrolling through,
Right.
a old Podio system that was just outdated.
Absolutely. Thank you, man, for sharing that.
Mhm.
And when you decided that you needed to make a switch from Podio to a different software, like what were some of the factors that led you to choose REsimpli over other softwares?
I think it was kind of just, I think at the time you guys were a little bit newer. So it was a lot of hearing from successes of other people, like Ryan, we mentioned. It was just also too, a lot of the other systems were so expensive and they felt like it was trying to upcharge you on other things that you just didn't need. And then we've noticed with REsimpli, like there's more features get added over time and the price stays the same, which is just mind
Right.
blowing for us. And it was just something that, Podio, someone can say, I could build you out a system for 2000 and just use a template or something like that. And depending on it. So just more transparent of the system itself and not have to
Right.
go through people to build it out or, all these other
Absolutely.
kind of third party ways.
Yeah. And then you're having to, anytime you want to make a change to Podio, then you're having to hire the developer. Same thing with Podio Salesforce, then having to hire
Mhm.
the developer, then you end up spending so much money on it. And it's never built out for the investors. So
Right.
totally understand that. And then when you switched over from Podio to REsimpli about 2.5 years ago, what was your onboarding process like? If you can speak a little bit about that.
We're thinking about making the decision for a while. Having a bunch of data to transfer can be a headache, but I think kind of you guys talking to us on how we could get that data in there very quickly, and just the training videos that we saw, it was almost like we kind of already knew how to use the system before even being, getting access to it. So the onboarding was as smooth as possible. It took us no time to learn the system. I know some of the systems we had built out in Podio had to come with a video on how to set it up and how to select the right filters. So any support we needed, we were able to reach out or had a training video that kind of gave us the answer right away.
Perfect. Thank you. And you've been with us for about 2.5 years. How do you feel about the customer support that we offer and the resources available to you if you have any questions about REsimpli?
Yeah, I think it gets better every month. Every live update you guys make. The new feature that I, been using and I love is just that Zoom call. Having someone
Right.
who can give immediate access, especially to any user in REsimpli. It saves me a lot of time from handling Slack messages with virtual assistants, cold calls on, specific questions that I may know the answer to, but definitely someone who's, made the system or work for the system can definitely answer a lot quicker. So having that live Zoom call, the live support chat too is great. And even just like having a text message is as
Right.
easy as just sending a text message. Doesn't have to be a long email copy or email
Right.
with a heading. It's just join the Zoom call or send out a text.
Yeah. Thank you. How would you say REsimpli has helped you achieve your goals?
I think for us, it allowed us to just have a better overview of the leads we were getting, the quality of the leads. As mentioned too, Podio just had a bunch of hoops to go through. So, the biggest thing is a dashboard, having a clear image on what my team is doing. As you mentioned, you can definitely have some bad hires. So ways you could cut that down of monitoring them and seeing the KPIs that come in real time was a biggest thing for us.
Can you share any specific outcomes or tangible benefits that you've noticed in your business since you made the switch from Podio to REsimpli?
I think it just allowed us to get away from, me looking at this more as a part-time and looking full-time. There's a lot of ways that we simply allowed us to avoid the mistakes that newer wholesalers can make or new investors
Right.
can make. And, even just a notification of, any contingencies out on properties or contracts we had out was a lot easier for me as miscommunications can happen, with a system that's just not as organized as it needs to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. What features of REsimpli do you find the most valuable?
It's almost hard to not to pick one. I would say the ease of use just to have a lead and call it. I think the notification real time is helping me a lot more just to once I get that lead from, cold call, the stacking, just push it over, be able to hop on the REsimpli app, call the lead real time, and just not have any issues of some annoying Podio system or some other CRM that just is not as fluent as that.
Right. Yeah. So in the last 2.5 years since you've been using, are there any deals that you look back and that you say that, oh, REsimpli had definitely helped me close this deal? I would have probably lost it if I were not on a software like REsimpli.
I would say there's one in particular, just based on everything we mentioned of the ease of use. It was a lead that an agent had that just got kind of lowballed by a couple cash offers at the time. So it was about 200 days on market. And at that point, if it's something that far down, I would try to filter that out Podio. But really just, knowing that I had a drip campaign set up, was able to speak to that agent at a time where, it's hard to say if that's an opportunity or not, but able to call that lead, get it under contract. And just because we're able to just stick with that seller, have those multiple drip campaigns going out, slowly building that relationship. And just, it was just timing at that point. And the timing came from just being able to jump into out of the box system, be able to use it, and, saves the time of kind of chasing down other opportunities that just may not be as fruitful.
And right now you're doing about 1 to 3 deals in a ultra competitive market, probably one of the most competitive markets in the country. What are your future goals, like 1 to 3 years down the road? And how do you see REsimpli being a part of helping you achieve that goal?
Yeah, for us, it's just, volume, scaling it, doing more deal flow, being able to have that consistent marketing spend for direct to seller while still doing agent outreach. I believe for us, it's just building the right team, the systems in place. It's just the ease of use of adding a new team member into REsimpli, and just that way, just being able to buy more leads from the lead sources we have. The integration is amazing. So we have no issue of adding someone new and being able to track their progress and see if they're a right fit for our company. And especially to be trying to close these deals that we know we can do.
Is there anything in particular about REsimpli you think that sets it apart from other softwares that you were considering or that are available in the market right now?
I don't know if it's just the culture that you guys built, but it's almost like family where the support's always there. There's new features all the time. The Facebook group, it just, it's almost like speaking to you directly if there's a feature we're looking to be added. And the other softwares just seem like they don't have that much transparency between the customer and kind of people who are actually, developing the software and kind of integrating those new features. Even just kind of, go high level is people I feel like using a lot. And that's just, it's built out on your own, but there's a new feature we could get added, or how can we go about that? And how can we try to keep growing and keep improving that system? Because as you know, real estate markets can change, and those features with AI can definitely be added to kind of bridge those gaps.
Certainly. Right, man. Final question. What would you say to someone who is on the fence about using REsimpli in their real estate investing business?
I would say just get started. It's out of the box, ready to go. And that's how you get started in this industry. You just hop on the phone, start dialing. A lot of people don't come from having a real estate background, and it's just something once you have a system that can show you and you can track that progress, it's almost just listening to what everyone's kind of preaching. You make those dials, and a system like REsimpli allows you to cut down all like the background tasks that can just take away from being on the phone with quality sellers, agents, and making offers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, James. James, someone listening to this wants to connect with you, learn more about your story. What's the best way for them to do that?
Probably on Instagram, Gotimer Real Estate or Time Real Estate. My last name is Gotimer, so trying to go off a play of words with that is the best way to reach out to me.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll put a link to that in the show notes. James, thank you so much for jumping on the call, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharad. I appreciate everything.
Thanks.